It was 3:17 am at the Waffle House. I wiped my mouth with my sleeve and pushed the table away from my fat belly, the chair scraping the greasy floor. I had time to kill until the next job, so I headed out to the parking lot to make my way to the nearest motel. I hadn't come through this town yet, so no one should recognize me there, I figured. Stumbling with my bum leg past the dumpsters, I about had a damn heart attack when the lid slammed. I shook my head and kept going. Another slam. Rage boiled over me. I stopped to glare back at the dumpsters, waiting to see which methed-out employee had been responsible. The wood doors around the dumpsters creaked in the night wind, closing themselves slowly. Another slam, and the door popped open. Looking like he'd kicked it open with his foot, the employee strolled out carelessly, whistling a jolly little tune even. I rolled my shoulders and huffed. This fucker was about to learn some respect. I cracked my knuckles and headed back towards him. "Hey!" I shouted. He stopped, startled. I closed the distance and grabbed a fistful of his greasy black apron. He was mid-40s maybe, but looked 80. He had the classic sunken eyes and leathery skin of hard living or drugs. He just stood there, mouth agape, like the stupid animal he was. I wanted to knock out his nasty black teeth. "Do you have any idea? Hey, you there!" Another voice interrupted me. The other man leaned against the building by the door, one hand in his pocket and the other smoking a cigarette. I must have been too angry to have noticed him before. "I've been looking for a truck driver," he said. My grip on the employee tightened in rage. He was shaking now. "Excuse me?" I yelled back. "I could use a ride," the man said calmly, "if you'd be so kind." Getting a better look at him, I was more confused. He wasn't an employee, he didn't have the stupid black apron. He wore dusty boots, raggedy jeans, and a gray zip-up jacket, but his face was what interested me. Young, bright eyes, pale and smooth skin, blonde, like a halo around his head. My anger was replaced by something else, something darker. I threw the employee to the ground. "Get lost," I told him. He scrambled away, where to I didn't care to look. My focus was on someone else now. I made my way to the other man, wary but interested. "You ain't got fucking family to help you?" I asked. He was pretty. Too pretty, like one of those weird celebrities with two perfect faces. I couldn't look away. Surely someone would miss him if something happened to him. "Nope," he answered, stomping out his cigarette. "There's no one to care." He picked up the cigarette butt and flicked it into the can beside him. Like he didn't want to litter, like that one cigarette would really make a difference. "'Cept you maybe," he said with a smile and a wink. "Maybe I can convince you to care." Something about him felt charming, playful, a little ray of life in this hellhole. He didn't belong here. Of course, neither did the others I'd picked up. I just had one question. "How old are you?" I asked. Those blue eyes looked me up and down, studying me. Not in a nervous manner, but something else. It made me a little uncomfortable, but not enough for me to care. 19, he said after a pause. The darkness stirred again. This was too good to be true. "I've got a little cash on me," he said. "I'm sure we could work something out." I'd already decided the minute I saw him. "Fine. Hurry up." He smiled a little too wide. "You're too kind," he said. I scoffed. "Yeah, but I'm a real saint." So where ya headed?" I asked as we settled into the cab. "Anywhere's better than here," he said. I stifled a smile. It was funny when they said things they'd regret. "You really got no one out here? Not family, not a girlfriend, nothing?" He paused to think, then leaned a little closer, a wry, shit-eating grin on that perfect face. "You really think I'd be in your truck if I did?" I chuckled openly at that. "Yeah, okay, you got me there." "Well, it's gonna be a while till the next stop," I warned him. "Perfect," he said, settling into his seat. "Maybe I will have a friend by the end of this." I rolled my eyes. "Yeah, whatever," I said. His weird sense of humor was a nice change of pace. This ride might actually be enjoyable. I usually didn't enjoy their company until they were hogtied in the back. "Last gas 103 miles, the sign read. Another hour and we'd be at the spot I'd picked out. You ever get scared out here?" His voice startled me. It sounded different, distorted almost. I chalked it up to the altitude fucking with my ears. It was the first thing he had said in maybe 30-40 minutes. I had actually thought he was sleeping. He had been awfully quiet ever since we'd gotten off the main roads. I ain't scared of nothing, kid, I told him. Simon, everybody gets scared. He pushed on, leaning closer to me like he had a secret. Sometimes it's even fun to be scared. Now that was funny. I'd have to tease him about that later. Why the hell would I be scared out here? For starters, he said, there's no one else around. No one to see you, no one to hear you, no one to help you. I was chuckling now too, shaking my head. That was kind of the point of this, kid. Nothing but the pines and the fog off the creek, he continued. Well, the fog is annoying, I'll give you that. I said, I can't tell you how many times a fucking deer just pops out and smears itself all over the windshield. Even then the fog was so thick I couldn't see, but maybe a single car length in front of us. The truck lights only made it worse. I powered through up the hills like I always did. There were never any other vehicles on that road. Ah, the poor deer, he said. They used to have more natural predators out here, but they were all driven off a long time ago. Something was off about him. Different. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but the warm and sunny act he'd put on earlier was gone. He felt cold now, distant, a little creepy even. It didn't matter. We were almost there. We sat in silence for another little while. I kept my eyes to the fog swirling in the headlights. He kept his eyes locked on me, staring, without a word, like I'd vanish if he even fucking blinked. Hell, maybe he was getting scared now. He had every right to, after all. The air in the cab got colder. It was supposed to be a warm night, I thought. Condensation built up on the window from the sudden change. I flipped the wipers on, sighing as they made that god-awful, nails-on-a-chalkboard screech with every swipe. The biggest spider I've ever seen in my life crawled out of the air vent. Holy shit! It was the size of my fucking fist, hairy and dark with yellow stripes on its legs. I'm a proud man, not afraid of much. But I don't fuck around with goddamn tarantulas. I nearly lost control of the truck, trying to whack it back to whatever hell it came from. Silently, without even so much as a flinch, the other man placed his pale, smooth hand atop the dash. Palm up, like an offering. My mouth hung open as the spider went into his palm, and just as quickly, into his zip-up jacket. I almost couldn't speak. What the fuck was that, man? I stammered. I swear to God, if that's your fucking pet. It's not, he said calmly, unless it wants to be. I was gonna explode. Surely, I would stroke out any minute. And it looks to be a tiger-wolf spider, but I'm not an entomologist. Take that thing out of your pocket, now, I demanded. He took out the spider calmly, like it was a pack of smokes, like any of this was normal. Looking at it the second time was almost worse. I squinted my eyes and looked away to the road. Kill that fucking thing. You'd like that, wouldn't you? The voice wasn't his, it was a woman's. From last week, I glanced over. She was in the passenger seat again. Tiny, frail like a bird, a little button nose and blue eyes. Yellow blonde hair. The skin on half her face was gone to gory bone, including a hollow eye socket. The spider climbed into it. What the fuck? I slammed on the brakes. The truck skid to a stop as I caught my breath. I looked around frantically. The young man looked groggy, bewildered. He rubbed his eyes and ran his hands through his hair. How long was I out? He asked. What the fuck are you talking about? My heart thumped in my ears, my throat was dry, and my body soaked in sweat. I was shaking. The man was calm, half asleep, looking at me like I had two heads. He reached in his pocket and pulled out a pack of smokes. No spider. You want to take a break? He asked me, concern in his soft voice. This didn't make sense. Where's the goddamn spider? I demanded. He jolted upright, looking his seat and around the cab. There's a spider in here? Where? I ran my clammy hands over my face, rubbing my eyes. I looked around the cab. Everything looked normal. The young man just blinked at me, like an innocent little doe in headlights, hand still outstretched with the pack of smokes. I ripped the pack from his hands. We're taking a break, said. Cool, he said, disinterested. He started to follow me out of the truck. No, you wait inside, I rapped. Alrighty, he chimed back. I stepped out into the humid, foggy air. The temperature shocked me. It had been so much colder in the cab. I must have turned the damn AC on and not known it. This wasn't the spot I usually took them to, but it was close enough. Far away enough where no one could see or hear anything, just like that stupid kid said. It would do just fine and I could just drive his body out farther to where I usually dumped them. That weird dream, I wasn't sure I wanted to go where the other ones were. Maybe I would just carve out a new spot here, I thought. I was around the back mixing up 2 special cups of Joe when I heard the passenger door open and close. I went back around quickly. God damn it, I stay in the. No one was there. The truck lights flickered and a cold chill shook my body. I peered through the fog, but there was nothing. Maybe I was going a little crazy. Maybe I was just tired. I took the mugs back to the inside of the cab and carefully handed the correct one to the man beside me. Coffee? I asked. I'm not a coffee person, he said politely. Everyone says that until they have my coffee. I winked. He laughed and shook his head. You're terrible, he said, grinning wide with those perfect teeth. I watched him absolutely gulp his coffee down like a sick, dying camel. Confused, I took a small sip of mine. It nearly my lip clean off. Weird. But at least it wouldn't take as long to work, I figured. So, what's your story? I asked him, realizing I never played the get-to-know-you game that I usually slog through with my passengers. Oh, I'm just an old soul passing through, he said. My story's a long one. I don't think we'd have the time to cover it if we tried. See that? You're so young but you talk like an old fucking man, I chuckled. I mean, where do you get that? Where are you from? Well, my ex-girlfriend thought I was from the depths of hell. He sat his mug down, completely finished with it. But I assured her I'm Catholic. I laughed at his joke, a little too loud. I sipped my coffee. Women, eh? I thought she was an angel. I still do, he said. But now, I doubt she'd even walk into church without bursting into flames. I slapped my knee, doubling over. I couldn't remember the last time I laughed so hard. My cheeks were warm. You're too young to be having fucking women problems. I told him. He murmured. But just the right age to die. I blinked. Huh? That's the perfect age, isn't it? 18 to 21. Blonde hair, blue eyes, no one to miss them, I stammered. My thoughts were clunky. I hadn't realized how dizzy I was getting. No. That wasn't possible. I made the coffee myself. I gave him the coffee myself. He downed it in seconds. The cab was freezing cold again. My head spun, my thoughts racing. The air was humid, my mouth so dry it felt glued together. I was spacing out, losing time. Suddenly, I was in the back of the truck on the cot, where he was supposed to be. The fog rolled in with me. Against it he stood, at the edge of the open truck, a dark shape in the night. You know, Father Romano says I shouldn't harm anything with a soul, he said. The distortion was back in his voice, like an old corrupted mixtape. He was holding rope in his hand. And to tell you the truth, he continued, I've always had a soft spot for animals, so I've never liked hurting them. In a blink, he was next to me, tying off my arm, like a tourniquet. But you don't have a soul, do you? He was in my face, inches away, so close he blurred. And you're worse than an animal, because you. Better! Tears rolled down my face, the sheer thunder of his voice shaking me to my core. It was unnatural. Ungoodly. Why did you do it? His voice was soft, calm, as harmless as it had been before. Why did you kill all those poor little girls and boys? And to leave their bodies like that, dumped so unceremoniously in my backyard. He shook his head at me, frowning. At least I kill for a reason. His limbs snapping. Loud pops as they twisted, contorted, grew taller and longer. A black shadow overtook his body, erasing all trace of his humanity in a blink, like he had never had skin or clothes or even a face to begin with. Only a dark shape remained, made of long twisted muscle and bone, shaped like some bastardized version of a man with horns. Then a smile appeared, that wide smile, so perfect and sharp. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. I tried to stay awake, but I was fading fast. The figure launched towards me on all fours, moving like a spider on its freaky limbs. It was over top of me in seconds. God, I'm so hungry. His face was almost pressed against mine, bared teeth dripping saliva onto my nose and mouth. I felt nothing. He rose back in a blink, standing upright, legs bending to fit in the trailer. He wiped his mouth carefully and ran a clawed hand through the silhouette of his once beautiful hair, right between his horns. He sighed. "But I have to be patient," he said softly. "You need to last a while. I suppose I'll pick you apart, piece by piece, rationing your body." His face was in front of mine again, grinning. "And then when I'm done making you useful, I'm not going to kill you. Oh no, that's too easy for you. Everything was fading fast, patches of black closing in on me. He grabbed my face with a clawed hand, pulling me close to make sure I heard every word. "I'm going to dump your lifeless body, with all the people you've killed, way out here in the pine. You can use your fucking teeth to dig your way out of the mud, choking on it like you deserve." He dropped my face, my head slamming back down. Everything went dark. I prayed I wouldn't wake up again. Not to this. But my prayers never meant much, and I knew from my sins that the drugs were only temporary. I had been bed-rotting after school. A bag of chips balanced on my stomach, a 2-liter of Dr. Pepper on my nightstand, my old beagle at my feet. Life wasn't good, but I guess it wasn't bad. It was just bland, like the open chip bag, like the flat soda, like the mostly AI videos I scrolled past. Then the news broke. I saw it on TikTok first. "Wake up, babe, there's a new serial killer," one TikToker said. She explained it all in a makeup tutorial. Some creepy truck driver had been killing people and dumping their bodies in the woods. College-age kids, blondes. The fact it was a serial killer was buzzworthy enough, but it got weirder. The killer's truck was found a few miles away with a bunch of evidence. But his body? He was found dismembered by the road within a few yards of his victims. And when I say dismembered, I mean his limbs had been ripped clean off. Arms and legs both. They say his teeth were broken and he had dirt in his mouth from trying to crawl out of the woods using his face, but he died of exposure before he got very far. They never found the rest of him. It was all anyone could talk about. Memes, get ready with me videos, conspiracy theories. Had the night worm really killed all those people? And who killed him? Why so brutally? The work of Satanism, like some videos suggested? The question that burned in my mind. Why weren't my videos about it getting attention? I spent hours talking into my phone, recording, stopping, recording again at better angles and with more dramatic voiceovers. Editing, splicing, filtering. I needed the exposure. I had been trying to start my own legit news channel. Well, I was a loser. It wasn't taking off. And if everyone else was capitalizing off the tragedy, why shouldn't I? I got few thousand views on my first video. 500 on my second. No likes, no comments, no shares. "Wow," my mom had said. "That's a lot of views." I wanted to tell her it was like getting a $1 tip as a waitress. It would have been less insulting to get nothing. At least I could blame the lack of engagement on algorithm issues or something. What was I doing wrong? I even degraded myself doing the viral Worm Man challenge, trying to see how fast I could move in the grass with my arms and legs tied behind me. Not very fast, if you're wondering. I needed something different. I needed something new if I wanted to stand out. I read all the news articles and public reports. I watched all the viral videos. Beyond the crime scene, there wasn't much info about where it happened. I knew it was only a couple hours away, but that's it. All the videos focused on the murder details and theories, but I found nothing about the woods themselves. I had a terrible idea. "Mom, I'm borrowing the car tonight." I stepped out of the car and shut the door, the sound thudding into the night. Without my music, I felt weirdly vulnerable. The air was heavy, pushing down on me like I didn't belong. Humid, thick, absolutely silent. Not even the cicadas or crickets were singing their songs. I took out my phone and got some footage of where the Worm Man had been found. Just a road of broken asphalt, an overgrown ditch. It really didn't look that special. Still, it was the closest anyone other than police had gotten. If I said the right words with a cool voiceover, I might have a good chance of standing out, I figured. But it was strange. Knowing what happened there, even just standing at the roadside felt wrong. My stomach turned to a queasy knot. That's when I smelled it. Death. A heavy mix of blood, guts and shit, all hitting me at once. I nearly doubled over gagging. It was probably a deer, I told myself. But what if it wasn't a deer? What if the police had missed something? What if I were the one to find the man's missing limbs, or another uncovered victim, or some big breakthrough in the case? It was naive. It was stupid. But looking around at the grassy ditch I stood in, the pit in my stomach grew queasier. Not from fear or disgust, from shame. My videos were boring, my life was boring, my whole personality was boring. I would never be more than someone to just scroll past, both online and off. Unless I brushed past the tree line and entered the woods. It was darker than I'd expected. At least I'd brought a good flashlight for filming. Without it, even under the full moon, I couldn't even see my own feet. Here we go. I made sure I was recording. I tried my best to follow my nose, but the smell seemed to be everywhere. I wandered around awkwardly, shifting the flashlight between the mossy ground and the trees above. My biggest fear was running face first into a spiderweb. Then I saw it, a scattering of clothes on the ground. Some scraps of fabric, I think, was a red cotton t-shirt, a pair of blue jeans ripped and busted at the seams. Both destroyed beyond belief, muddied, torn, soaked in dark blood, a shotgun laid in the dirt beside them. I stumbled back, shaking. This was not just a TikTok story or some thriller movie. This was real. I should have turned back. I wasn't a professional, I didn't belong here. The smell of rot lingered. The pit in my stomach sank heavier. I could be a professional, I told myself. Maybe I did belong here. I just had to be brave. I could notify the police later, after I'd gotten my footage and discovery. I followed the smell with shaky breaths, holding my phone and flashlight high. Clouds of bugs followed me like I was the sun. I shook them off, but they were relentless, crawling on and sticking to my sweaty skin. One bug flew into my mouth. I doubled over in a gag. It fluttered against my throat, struggling, each of my coughs ripping the bug apart as I choked on pieces of it. I tripped over the thick roots of a tree, smacking my face on the hard earth. The bug shot out of my mouth, landing on my tongue in a bitter taste. My phone. There was a thin crack along the screen where I'd dropped it, but it was still recording. I sighed in relief. I pushed myself to a sitting position and grabbed my flashlight, shining it along the twisted ground I fell on. The eyes of a deer looked back at me. Wide eyes, unblinking, ants swarming over their glossy surface and into the nostrils below. I scrambled backwards, shrieking. The head of a doe laid at my feet, a shriveled tongue hanging from her bloodied mouth, a long rope extending from her head. Not a rope, her spine. I stood and shone my flashlight frantically. I didn't see the rest of her body, only intestines and gore scattered about in differing directions. Was this the death I had been smelling? What about the clothes? And what kind of animal did that? The satanic ritual theories ran through my mind. Fuck this, I muttered. That was more than enough haunting footage. I turned back the way I came. Except I didn't remember the way I came. My flashlight flickered. Once, twice, then only darkness surrounded me. I whacked it against my hand, muttering and cursing. It didn't budge. I couldn't even see my own hands. A rumbling growl broke the silence. I froze. I didn't even breathe. The hairs of my neck jumped. Something was behind me, close. I scrunched up my face, choking back a sob. A hot breath huffed against my ear. Then a whisper. Jet. Out. I bolted into the darkness. My flashlight was back on in an instant, but I didn't stop to look behind me. The light bounced uselessly in front of me as I pushed past thorn bushes and darted around trees. Spiderwebs to my arms and face, but they weren't what scared me now. More deer. Dead. 2. 3. I stopped counting them. I don't know how long I was running. I crashed to the dirt on my hands and knees, exhausted. Every breath a struggle like I was underwater. Deeper in the woods than I'd been before. Branches snapped ahead of me. Another growl, this one different. Not dry, quiet, soft like the first, but wet, growing to a choking snarl, excited and hungry. I raised my flashlight shakily. It was huge, bulky, furry. Becking back at me. No, something was wrong. Its snout was long and wrinkled, canine, but the left side was missing. Bloodied bone poked out of its flesh, spit frothing onto the ground. It stood on its thick hind legs, arms reaching out wide like a man's. A wailing howl pierced the night. I scrambled to my feet, slipping. There was no time. The creature charged me, kicking up debris in its wake. I cowered on the ground, arms covering my head tightly. Oh God, please let it be quick. A crack like thunder snapped through the air. The creature cried out, a strangled half-whine. I looked up. It laid crumpled at the bottom of a thick tree, unmoving. Its round blue eyes stared forward, wet, transfixed with fear. The eyes weren't looking at me. Something stood between us, the shape of a man. Tall. Dark, a void in my flashlight's flickering beam. Thick horns cover his head, like an unholy crown. He was silent. The creature on the ground rasped. Its broken jaw shook. The sounds. Human. It was trying to speak. It began convulsing, choking and gasping in between screams. Its bones snapped like branches into place, once broken but broken no longer. It rose to its feet. The fear in its eyes was gone. They looked at me now. It lunged forward. The dark figure shot out a hand, catching it by the throat. The creature hung suspended in the air, screaming and gargling, wild eyes still locked onto mine as it fought to reach me. The figure's right hand dangled down low, claws flicking out like knives. He plunged them into the creature's chest, a wet crunch as he twisted his wrist, and ripped out its heart in one quick motion. He dropped the body, flinging the heart to the side. In a blink, the figure was gone. Another blink. He towered over me, eyes like white fire burning into my soul. Why have you come here? His voice, he had whispered to me earlier. Speak. I opened my mouth, stuttering and choking on fear. I thought someone was. I remembered the smell. Dear, the gun, the creature's jaw. My vision blurred. The figure crouched down slow. A cold finger swiped my burning cheek. You are just a little mouse, aren't you? He lifted my chin, inspecting me. He tilted his head. Are you going to tell your little mouse friends about this? I shook my head. He grabbed my throat. Clawed fingers cut into my neck as he lifted me, towering into the trees as he stood. I kicked like the creature before me, chest burning, throat bruising under his cold grasp. Say anything. He pulled me close, hot breath against my ear again. There are worse things than a quick death, child. He dropped me. I fell to the ground, my chest cracking. Hot pain shot through my ribs and back. I squirmed in the mud, coughing and choking. Every breath almost as painful as having none. He threw something to my side. I pushed myself up, wheezing. My phone. Its screen was black, shattered. It meant little to me now. I'll give you 5 minutes, the figure said gently. I shook my head, not understanding. He kicked my flashlight, rolling it towards me. Its flickering beam steadied. Go the right way this time. My eyes widened. Run! I slipped and scrambled in the mud, running as fast as my legs could take me. I didn't know where I was going. I still didn't know the right way. I ran for hours, stopping only to throw up or breathe. The sun was up by the time I dragged my body out of the woods, crawling over the ditch like the worm man. I cried at the realization. I regretted ever wanting to know what had happened to him. I didn't leave my room all day. I covered up my scratches in a thick hoodie and told my mom I was sick. I didn't want dinner, I told her. I didn't want to be bothered. I needed to be alone. And no, for the love of God, I didn't want the curtains closed or the lights off. She brought me chicken noodle soup for dinner anyways. And my phone. You know, you really gotta stop dropping your phone all the time, she nagged. You're lucky it still works at all. I blinked. What? She sat the soup on my nightstand. It was in the car still. I charged it back up for you, she said. A thank you would be nice. She handed it to me. I stared, remembering the dark figure. Taking it made my stomach turn. Thanks, Mom, I said a little too quickly. I'm still really tired, though. I need to sleep more. Well, let your soup get cold, she told me as she left. You need to stay hydrated. I stared at my phone. I turned it on. It worked. There it was in my gallery. A 20-minute recording. I almost couldn't stand to watch it. I skipped to the end, and there he was, the wolfman. Stretching, howling, charging. Then the darkness of the treetops, capturing only the guttural sounds of his struggle. That was it. I should have been glad. I didn't know if I could handle seeing the dark figure again. And yet, I wanted answers. I needed to know what just happened to me. I went to Reddit. There were a lot of weird cryptid communities. I posted my video to them all. I only mentioned the Wolfman. A couple people actually believed me. A lot more didn't. The comments were about what I expected. Some compliments that I created a nice video. Some insults that it was AI trash. A few crazed religious comments. And a lot of trolls just saying "oh woo lol." I didn't expect a DM within just 10 minutes. I've seen it too. Let's meet up. I think we can help each other understand more. They were a new user. No comments or posts. A blank icon. A complete stranger. I bit my lip. They could be crazy. Or they could be like me. Either way, they couldn't be as bad as what I just met. When, where? I didn't sleep at all. I tossed and turned until the sun came up, obsessively checking my phone for new responses. My video had gotten a lot of attention, positive and negative. In the morning, I was pissed to see it removed from all 4 subs I'd posted it to. Community guideline violations, but no mods would tell me why. Typical Reddit bullshit. I waited for my mom to leave for the store. I felt a little bad sending her to get me medicine and snacks when I wasn't actually sick, but it was the only way I could sneak off. Within 20 minutes I was at the local park. The pain of my ribs made it longer. It really had to be fate that the Redditor and I lived so close to each other. The park was unusually empty, just one dark SUV in the lot. For a warm and sunny weekend, I'd expected more people. There was just one couple on the bench by the walking trail entrance. The one noticed me and waved. I had hoped for another teen. I guess it didn't matter. I waved back and awkwardly approached, my anxiety spiking. The woman looked around Mom's age. She sat on the bench in business casual clothes, solid black, not a speck of hair or dirt on them. Her dark hair was slicked into a low bun, as tight and unmoving as her obvious facelift. The man sat beside her, a clipboard in hand. He was about the same age, maybe older, hunching out of a fancy black coat like a turtle. His bulging eyes stared at me from behind small glasses. The woman looked at me and smiled briefly. It didn't reach her eyes. "You must be Emma." I nodded. Yeah. Reddit must have displayed my name from sign-up. I didn't think it did that, but I shrugged it off. Privacy policies were always changing. Come. I didn't sit, but I inched closer, hands in my pockets. "You took the video last night, correct?" "Yeah," I told her. I haven't slept." "What time did you enter the woods?" The man beside her stared unblinking, pen in hand. I think it was around 10. I adjusted my hoodie, pulling it closer to my neck. "You said you've seen it too?" I asked, pushing past my anxiety. "Can you?" "I have," the woman said simply. "May I see your footage again?" "Sure, I guess." I held my phone out, video playing. She took the phone from my hand. I blinked. I wasn't trying to offer it to her. She watched the video maybe 5 seconds. Then I saw her back out and into my gallery. I put a hand up, stuttering awkwardly. She handed back my phone. Her face was expressionless. How did you get away?" "Oh." I swallowed hard, my throat aching. My chest grew tighter. I pulled at my hoodie again. "I ran." The woman's fake smile. "You must be very fast," she said flatly. "I'd like to hear about your experience too," I said. I was shaking. I couldn't meet her eyes. "How did you get away?" "You don't get away," she said. "You kill them." My eyes shot back to her. Emma. Her voice was slow, sickly sweet, but her stern face terrified me. Just tell me who helped you. They won't be in trouble. I took a step back, nearly tripping over my own feet. My mom, gonna be home soon, so I. The man with the clipboard spoke up calmly. Your mother is in a traffic jam. She won't be home for a while. I froze. Mom. The sooner you tell me, the sooner you can be done with this, the woman said softly. I still didn't understand. Be done with what? I'll even make it easy, she said. Was it a man or a woman who helped you? They might also be non-binary, the man interjected, my burning blurring as I shook. It wasn't a person. The two exchanged a glance. The man raised an eyebrow and scribbled on his clipboard. I'd said the dumbest thing. I remembered the dark figure's words. His threats. But he wasn't there, and he didn't have my mom. I took a deep breath. It looked like the devil, I finally said. The man's pen dropped. A brisk nod from the woman, and he took off, his coat flapping in the wind as he hurried to the parking lot. The woman leaned forward, gently clasping my hand. Her lips had curled into a wide smile. Thank you, Emma. You've been so very helpful to us. She stood tall, peering down her nose at me. Have a nice day at school tomorrow. I hear Greenville High is a fine institution. Who are you? I choked out. What is this? She looked at me with distant pity, like I was some wounded animal. Keep your head down. Be quiet. Turned her back to me to leave. If you're a good girl, you'll never have to find out. I rushed back to my house. Mom was late coming back from the store. A car accident on the interstate, she said, multi-car pile up. The driver had died, plus a mom and 2 kids. The guy was driving on the wrong side, can you believe it? She shook her head. I'll bet it was drugs. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did my dog. Max loved everyone and everything. But he spent the night barking at the windows and doors, hackles raised, pacing and crying. He was an old dog. I don't remember the last time he barked at anything. The next morning, I sat on the couch with Mom. We liked watching the news together with breakfast, before she'd head off to work and I'd head off to school. I could barely pay attention. The TV showed fire trucks and crew members at the edge of some woods. A wildfire, burning up close to 1,000 acres and spreading fast in the remote location. They were calling the woods cursed. The infamous site of a recent string of grisly murders, they said. I set my cereal down. My appetite was gone. It's that global warming, I tell ya, my mom said as she got up and readied herself to leave. Another few years, we'll be living on Mars. She chortled to herself, said her goodbyes and went out the door. Mom was wrong. The news said police suspected foul play. So did I. I couldn't focus in school. I kept falling asleep. When I didn't have class, I spent most of my time in the bathroom, feeling safer in the small space. I felt like I was being watched everywhere I went. A couple times, I caught the new math sub lurking out in the hall. He never spoke to me. At home, cars I didn't recognize started parking near our house in shifts. Mom said I was being paranoid, they're just visiting neighbors. I never saw anyone get out of the vehicles. Mom won a trip. 2 weeks vacation to Italy. I was old enough to take care of myself, she said. I asked her when she even entered the contest. She said she didn't remember. It's just me and Max now. He barks night and day. Neither of us eat or sleep. At least we have each other. What bothers me the most isn't being watched. When you have anxiety like I do, you feel like people are always watching you. What eats at me is wondering why. In the movies, when people are being watched, there's usually some big master plan. Something worse to come. Kidnapping. Torture. Death. What had I gotten myself into? I kept thinking of the dark figure's words. I thought they were a threat. Now I'm scared it was a warning.